Welcome into the Rob Bro Show. I am Rob Bro. I am the host. You are the co-host. You can co-host today by commenting on the starting line chat line right over there. Right over there. Starting line chat line brought to you by Starting Line Counseling. StartingLineCounseling.com. Free 15-minute consultation with Chase, the man, two-time Texas Tech grad. You can find him on StartingLineCounseling.com. And we're also here in the Diversified Lenders Studio. Carson, how you doing, man?
I'm living, Rob. I'm living.
Land of the living.
Land of the living. Had the vid earlier this week, so
It's still around.
it is. It's going around. It's like a cold now, though. So
not quite as potent as day one, but
yeah. I'll say this: the first time I got it, when it was the new thing, wasn't sick at all. This time, didn't feel great the first couple days.
Well,
you never know.
You're back now, so
I'm back. I'm back, baby.
You're back just like the Bills. Bills coming on strong in the last couple of weeks, beating the Chiefs and the Cowboys. They look good. We'll talk about the NFL playoffs today. We'll talk about bowl games today. Syracuse stinks. 7-3 through the first 10 against the spread in the bowl pick'em. Of course, notoriously bad this year in my picks. But there's no time like the present to turn around. So we'll talk about some bowl games as well. Some good ones coming up.
Yeah.
And then we had signing day this week. Let's start there. Any highlights in Texas Tech's class? Obviously, Micah Hudson and Ellis Davis get a lot of the credit here to get Texas Tech into the top 25 consensus across some recruiting services. But any highlights beyond that or just some overall class thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to highlight Will Hammond, too. He's an Elite 11 quarterback. He's a kid that will come in and have a chance to put his stake on the quarterback claim at Texas Tech after Baron Morton leaves, whenever that might be. So I think that's a good pickup. But, past the 4 stars, obviously another 4-star is Peyton Morgan. He's a guy that you can be really excited about, especially in that secondary coming up. But there's a couple other guys that are we talked about Cameron Dickey, who from Crockett High School, he's a 3-star kid, just an all-around athlete. If you go watch his film, you'll be really excited about him as well. He's a all-state safety, but he was the player of the year in their district. He was a quarterback, played both ways at a 5A high school, Rob. That's hard to do at the big schools. And he played quarterback at his 5A high school. Wasn't like he was playing, wide receiver and safety. He was the quarterback and the safety, and one of the best players on that defense, and one of the best players in the state of Texas on defense in Class 5A. So really excited about the athleticism of a kid like Cameron Dickey. Charles Anderson, another offensive lineman. Their defensive lineman, big defensive lineman, 6'6", 260, 270. It's where they'll probably get him to play at. He's from Pearland Dawson, which is a very, very well-known school down in the Houston area. So a lot of guys, other than those big 5-star, 4-star names that you can be excited about. And Ashton Hampton, another Pearland kid, that he's a safety. I think you did really good with getting young talent for the secondary, where you can build towards having a good secondary in the years to come versus just trying to fill roles in with transfer portal guys and doing all that. I think you're going to have a good combination of some young guys and some transfer portal guys on next year's roster where, you can build from that instead of just kind of trying to reload every single year with transfer portal guys. So that's what gets me excited. And then you always like to see the junior college transfers, the Maurice Rodriguez kids of the world. He's a big boy, 6'7", 320, close to it.
Yeah.
He's going to come in and have a chance to play right off the bat. So, he's going to have an opportunity to do that at one of the tackle spots. I would think right tackle would be maybe the spot that you might see him have a chance to get into. But, he's a big kid, 6'7". You like to see that on the offensive line.
Yeah, low man wins, but 6'7" doesn't mess around. And
I'm talking about, arm's length, baby. Yeah, those arms. That's what I like about the big boys.
Oh, you mentioned Cameron Dickey. I'm very intrigued to what he's going to do here at Texas Tech. Obviously, he's listed as a running back.
Yeah.
Played quarterback, safety experience. That might be a guy who does play a big special teams role early in his career and then settles in somewhere. I don't know if that's running back, inside receiver, kind of like a Nehemiah Martinez, or on the defensive side. He might end up playing safety. He's probably should be listed as athlete here on the.
Yeah, he reminds me of Keenan Ward coming out of high school at Snyder, right? Keenan Ward was that kid who he was the quarterback at Snyder High School. He was a safety. He was just an all-around athlete. The kid could just do whatever you needed him to do on a football field at the high school level. Keenan did it at a very high level at Snyder. Some really good football teams there for the Tigers just down the road here from Lubbock. That's the comparison I would give to him, to Cameron Dickey, as a Keenan Ward type. And Keenan ended up, he kind of started off in that role too, special teams. And then he ended up playing safety a little bit, played a little bit of wide receiver at a time. But I think he's just a Swiss Army knife where you can move him wherever you need him to be. And I don't know that this kid cares where he's going to play. He's so athletic. I think he can get the job done anywhere. He's a little bit undersized to play safety in the Big 12. He's 5'10". And that might be a little generous if you look at it on film. But he's so athletic. I think he could definitely play, that slot receiver position, like you mentioned with Nehemiah Martinez. You could even put him in the backfield at running back and see what he can do from there. So, if down the road, we're not talking about next year. I'm just saying 3-4 years down the road, if Cameron Dickey's still in red and black, you definitely a kid that has a chance to do really whatever he wants to do because he's so athletic. But he's the kind of kid that I think can come in and do some really special things if he sticks it out.
You also signed several transfers, including Power 5 transfer tight end Jalen Conyers, bringing him home, correcting that mistake from years ago. Florida transfer, Memphis transfer, Washington State transfer, Toledo, Middle Tennessee, and then a couple of JUCO guys you mentioned.
And Elon. Don't forget Elon, the Phoenix.
And Elon tight end, yes. And then a couple of JUCO guys as well.
Yeah.
I think you had a couple of more lined up that decommitted the day or two before signing day.
Yeah.
Gooch comes to mind. Wish we could have locked him in.
On the other tight end
went. Yeah, I wasn't gonna mention him.
Yeah, whatever.
Alex Lines.
Yeah, Lines.
I did not see where he committed either. I don't know that.
I think he committed somewhere Kansas. He's from Garden City, right?
All right, now I'm not concerned, but intrigued.
I could be very wrong, but one of those names you mentioned, I believe, committed to Houston on signing day the other day. He was committed to Texas Tech, but then signed with Houston from who are the Blue Dragons? McPherson.
I don't see an update on
Lines
if Alex Lines has committed.
Fair enough.
I don't want to search Gooch, and I don't remember his first name.
Don't blame you there. You could be in
parameter.
Yeah.
I want to get into.
Yeah, not the kind of Twitter hole you want to go down right there. Yeah, for sure.
That's one way to say it.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. It is bowl season as well. Have you watched much bowl game action?
I mean, I haven't watched other than the Tech game. I haven't really watched any one of them all the way through.
And the Tech game feels like forever ago.
Yeah, it feels like it because it was the first night of bowl season.
Yeah, it was last Saturday.
Yeah, it was, and I was sick, so it was the only thing that made me feel any better was a Tech win that night. Yeah, I really haven't watched a whole lot. I thought it was funny. Western Kentucky and Old Dominion had about 4,000 people at their bowl game in Charlotte.
Great
that
game.
Was sad. It was a great game. Great football. Western Kentucky plays a lot of good bowl games.
Huge comeback.
Yeah, great comeback for the Hilltoppers, but there's just nobody there. It's sad to see that. And, with teams like that, you expect that. That's why they have it at a smaller stadium. They had it at the University of Charlotte Stadium, which is a nice on-campus facility for a mid-major, group of 5 school. But UTSA and Marshall, I watched that one. That was a pretty good one. In the Frisco Bowl, they had a good crowd there. Obviously, UTSA traveled. Jeff Traylor gets another bowl win. All this dude does is rack up bowl games and bowl appearances and gets him a bowl win. Syracuse got embarrassed last night. That was embarrassing.
How old did you
For
feel?
Dino Babers.
How old did you feel? Well, Dino Babers isn't there anymore.
Yeah, well, for Syracuse's Dino Babers, who's no longer there. Yeah.
How old did you feel watching Marshall UTSA when it's McCown and Pennington slinging the rock against each other?
Yeah. And Pennington is Chad Pennington's son, right? It's his
McCown
son.
Is Josh or Luke McCown's son.
Yeah, one of the Browns quarterback son. That'll make you feel pretty daggum old because you were watching Chad Pennington Flint rocked Randy Moss back in the day, and some of my favorite games to watch when Marshall was flinging the pill across the yard and was Chad Pennington was one of the first non Southwest Conference Big 12 quarterbacks, whatever you want to say, those big time quarterbacks that really came onto the scene whenever we were kids and made you think, hey man, white guys are actually pretty good at this thing. And Pennington was always fun to watch. So it was cool to see his kid. It's cool to see his kid at Marshall too. I think that's a legacy thing. And that's really cool that his son's getting to play out the Marshall dream like he did. Marshall's not as good as they were whenever Chad was there, but it was cool to see that matchup. And I'm a big UTSA supporter with Jeff Traylor. I love what that guy does.
Yeah, another coaching cycle where he doesn't get another job passed over for Houston and Texas A&M. Both jobs I thought would be prime Jeff Traylor opportunities. I wonder, Carson, if he hasn't Seth Luttrell himself. Now, you have to lose success to Seth Luttrell yourself, eliminating the opportunity to get bumped up, but he hasn't done that yet. But if he wanted in the Power 5, he had a prime opportunity with Texas Tech and turned it down. Obviously, I'm not complaining about that now with Joey McGuire, but in some alternate universe, Jeff Traylor accepts this job, leaves early from that season where he was seeing some success, and ends up as a Red Raider. Now, still at UTSA, begging for money, which most coaches do have to do.
Especially at those schools, yeah.
But had an opportunity to win the American this year, and we'll have an opportunity to win the American next year. I wonder if McCown will be his quarterback moving forward. We'll have to see. Some bowl games coming up. 2 bowl moments I did enjoy. In that Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl with UTSA, what was it? A giant carafe of coffee being poured.
Yes.
On the coach after the game, and then all the toast in the famous Toastery Bowl. I don't know what a famous toastery is. It's not famous in this part of the country. If it is, I've missed it. But all the toast on the field, I like the big stack of toast, like it was a stack of money the guy was holding up to his face.
Yeah.
Just classic bowl moments there. I don't think anything fun in the Texas Tech Bowl happened.
No.
Independence Bowl, I don't think there was anything like
the trophy's cool.
The trophy was real. That is very true.
Yeah.
Eagle screeching down with the flag underneath it. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, the trophy's pretty sweet. Yeah, that was a sweet little deal right there. Yeah.
Bowl game tonight. UCF hosting. Not hosting, but kind of hosting Georgia Tech in Tampa, Florida. The Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Any thoughts on the Gasparilla Bowl? I think UCF's favored by 4.5.
Yeah, I like UCF in this one. I mean, I think there'll be a pretty good crowd at this too. It's in Tampa.
Should be.
Georgia Tech usually travels okay. UCF's a favorite, but Georgia Tech ain't bad. So But you know what? Give me the Golden Knights just because I want the Big 12 to win.
I'm not generally a pro Big 12 guy in that respect.
Yeah, neither am I.
But I am in this case. I did think that earlier today that I think UCF would be a good win for the Big 12 just because they kind of limped into the Big 12. They ended up winning a couple of Big 12 games, but it took them a while. They finished 6-6. Not quite what they hoped. I hope their fan base shows up in a bowl game, even at a 6-6 opportunity. The rest of the weekend is really when the bowl action starts to me.
Yeah.
Arkansas State, Northern Illinois in the Camellia Bowl. Troy, Duke, James Madison Air Force in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. That one won't be as cold as last year. The Air Force making a back-to-back appearance. Georgia State, Utah State in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Speaking of weird things coming out of Gatorade coolers, they'll dump the French fries at the end of that one. South Alabama, Eastern Michigan in the Battle for Directional Schools at the 68 Ventures Bowl. No idea what that is. Never heard of it.
That's the Mobile. That's in Mobile.
But what was that before in Mobile?
The
Has
Bad Boy
Mobile-
Motors Bowl or something like that. Bad Boy Motors, right?
Was that in Mobile?
I can't remember. There's so many of these bowl games, man. It just they all start running because it used to be at Ladd Peoples Stadium, but now since South Alabama has built that beautiful new park in
Was it the Birmingham Bowl and then it moved to Mobile?
no, because the Birmingham Bowl's still there.
Oh yeah,
That's Duke and Troy play in the Birmingham Bowl. So
interesting. Phillips 66 Birmingham Bowl.
76 Birmingham Bowl.
70s. What is
Yeah,
this?
I don't know what 76 is, but it's it's at Protective Stadium in Birmingham, which was the old municipal stadium, but they've redone it.
Shout out Nick Shimonek and Flowers. What was that kid's name? The USF.
Yeah, Flowers from USF. Yeah, ran all over Texas Tech.
Marquez Valdez Scantling, who could catch in college. I forgot how when he got in the NFL.
Yeah.
The Las Vegas Bowl with Utah and Northwestern. I'm just reading through these because none of them are particularly December 23rd has a pretty crappy slate.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
I will watch James Madison Air Force.
Yeah, I'll probably watch Utah and Northwestern a little bit until Utah just starts pounding them.
I'll check in. Hopefully,
But-
I'll root for Northwestern in that one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Big 12 games,
How about Northwestern from a team last year that had no pulse really, and then you lose your head coach in the offseason just by a weird, the hazing issue and all that stuff, and then they go 7-5 and get to a bowl game. So good for the Wildcats at Northwestern right there in Evanston.
I'm going to read through next week's bowls too. Continuing on Saturday, the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, Coastal Carolina, San Jose State, Bowling Green, Minnesota.
At a high school stadium in the Hawaii Bowl.
Yeah.
Of course, that's where Hawaii play. It's their soccer stadium they've turned into a football stadium because Aloha Stadium is just it's a complete crap show in Honolulu. How you don't have a football stadium that can house this bowl game from where you used to be at the in that beautiful stadium in Hawaii. I mean, that place is so cool. And now it's a complete dump. And they, the city screwed it. And now that bowl game's gone down. The University of Hawaii's football program's gone down. It's sad to watch, really, because Hawaii used to be one of my favorite teams, back in the days when they used to fling the pill and June Jones was around and all those days were hyped up and fun to watch. They had the best uniforms in college football back in those days too. And Hawaii's just not what it used to be.
Hawaii.
There's my soapbox on Hawaii.
The stadium experience, not the
not the island in itself. It's still cool to get to go to Hawaii.
No offense to the Hawaii people.
Yeah, none.
I
Mahalo.
watched speaking of Hawaii, have you watched the new documentary on HBO? Love Has Won.
No.
Freaking creepy, man. You know
Okay.
how cults go?
Yep.
It's another one of those cult documentaries with a lot of live, like real time film
Footage.
because they were like all over YouTube. I guess they live streamed every day,
Oof.
and so there's a bunch of footage. And then I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you can go watch it if you want. Quick Lane Bowl, Bowling Green, Minnesota. Texas State Rice in the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl.
There will be nobody at that game.
Kansas UNLV, very intrigued in this one. The guaranteedrate.com Bowl. This is in Arizona, in Phoenix. Any thoughts on the Phoenix Stadium?
It's the Diamondbacks Stadium, right? Love that stadium for the Rangers.
Yeah.
It's the Rangers' favorite stadium now. It's where they won their first ever World Series. So I have no issues with that stadium. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind playing. I think that bowl game's always been one of my favorites to watch as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of how Texas Tech and Minnesota were that year in the what was the Insight.com Bowl when they played in it.
Big 12 buy-in.
Yeah.
There.
So I've always enjoyed that bowl game. I think it took the place of the Copper Bowl, which was one of my favorite bowl games that I went to as a kid. Zebby Lethbridge's final game. Texas Tech beat Air Force. Texas Tech played Air Force. Did we win that game? You won that game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You won that game. And so, Zebby's final game, he ran off the field, and my brother and I were there in the tunnel waiting for him, and still have his wristband to this day that he gave me from that night. So, that's a pretty cool memory. We got to spend Christmas in Arizona, but yeah, those are fun times getting to go to those bowl games. And anytime it's 95 degrees and you get to swim on Christmas, it's always fun too.
Always fun. The Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com, Virginia Tech Tulane. The Duke's Mayo Bowl. Again, speaking of, would you take the Mayo bath?
No.
If you're the head coach that wins that game, you got to take the Mayo bath.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I guess. I better be getting right into the shower though. I would rather take the Mayo bath. Like, give it to me in the locker room after the game, not on the field.
I think that's what
okay. Okay, give it to me in the locker room after the game, but not on the field because I don't want to walk around with mayo on my body, and not all of us pour grape juice over ourselves either, and
get that soaked in. Oh, that's
yeah.
The DirecTV Holiday Bowl, Louisville, USC.
One of my favorite bowl games. Probably won't watch a whole lot of this one though.
I'm moderately. I think Louisville will win. How bad is it for USC to get beat by Louisville and Tulane back-to-back seasons and not in the New Year's Six?
Yeah, and Caleb Williams ain't going to play. So, right? He's already said he's not playing in the bowl game. Pretty sure.
I have not heard that.
Oh, okay. Well, I figured he wasn't going to play, so that's why I could care less because I think Louisville, without Caleb Williams, I think Louisville just runs over him. I do like Tulane and Virginia Tech, even though Virginia Tech's a 6-6 team playing an 11-2 Tulane team. I like that bowl game. I think Virginia Tech's got a chance against Tulane. Obviously, Willie Fritz won't be there. I don't think he's coaching in that game. He's already at Houston. And then the Texas Bowl, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State. I'll be tuned into that one, obviously. I think that's one of the better big time bowl games. That's one of the better matchups of the bowl season.
Yeah, Caleb Williams has opted out. Malachi Nelson in the portal. Who's playing quarterback for USC?
That's what I'm saying. I have no idea.
Will Howard?
Can he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't.
Has he? Did he commit there?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Anyways, you mentioned it. The Texas Bowl there Wednesday. A&M and Oklahoma State. I'll definitely be tuned into both of those.
Yeah.
Kind of a simulcast deal. And I'll watch the Mayo Bowl. I generally watch the Mayo Bowl. I like West Virginia. Neil Brown has grown on me this year with how he responded to being picked dead last in the Big 12 and stuck around there. Surely we'll be back by next Thursday, but I will be in San Antonio, so we might have to go live from a hotel or something.
Yeah, I'll probably be in Houston. So
But SMU, Boston College, Rutgers, Miami in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. And then the Pop-Tarts Bowl, NC State, Kansas State. Really looking forward to that one. The Alamo Bowl, Arizona, Oklahoma. Really looking forward to that one. The Gator Bowl, Clemson, Kentucky. Oregon State, Notre Dame. Obviously, the Notre Dame tie-in. That one will be on TV at some point in my house. And then the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. The Cotton Bowl Classic. Both on Friday next week. So Iowa State, Ohio State against Memphis and Missouri, respectively. I hope Ohio State beats Missouri by 100.
yeah, me too. Me too. You and Drinkwitz aren't very good friends, are you?
No, Dorkowitz. I don't think we'd be
Drunkowitz.
friends. No, I don't think we would be friends.
I do like the Notre Dame Oregon State matchup. Now I don't know who's playing quarterback for Oregon State because both Uiagalelei and their freshman quarterback has already committed to Michigan State with their head coach. So, yeah, I don't know who's playing quarterback for Oregon State. Notre Dame, I think that gives Notre Dame a very, very good chance to win this ball game. They're a 6.5-point favorite, but yeah, I think that in itself helps Notre Dame, no doubt about it. And I like Sam Hartman.
Love Sam Hartman. Is he playing in the bowl game? Who knows?
I think he should, right? I mean, why would he?
Should, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I like that game a lot. Plus, the Sun Bowl is always one of my favorite ones to watch. CBS does a great job of hosting that. El Paso is a perfect spot for it. You want to talk about being sick? Texas Tech played in the Sun Bowl one year. My brother and I both got the flu, like just guts coming up the day before the Sun Bowl. And yeah, it was not a fun bowl week for the Robinson family. Let's put it that way. My dad was having to work. My mom's thinking, she's going to get a fun bowl weekend. Luckily, she brought my grandparents with us, and they watched us while my mom and dad got to enjoy the game. Dad was obviously working, but yeah. So that wasn't a fun Sun Bowl weekend for us. But yeah, I don't think it was fun for Tech either. I think we lost that Sun Bowl. Not as bad as the Cotton Bowl when we lost to USC, though.
No. Ole Miss, Penn State in the Peach Bowl, Auburn, Maryland, Georgia, Florida State. Obviously, when the playoffs start the day after that, with Alabama, Michigan on the 1st, and then Texas, Washington. Are you tuned into the Cheez-It Bowl? Which is not the original Cheez-It Bowl. It's the Citrus Bowl.
It's the Citrus Bowl now, yeah, which is kind of funny.
Iowa, Tennessee. Any thoughts on that one?
Go Vols. Rocky Top will always be home to thee. Yeah.
No.
I hate Iowa.
Georgia, Iowa, really? I didn't know.
Yeah. That. I don't like Iowa.
Just
they're boring.
Yeah, okay.
They're boring. Yeah, I don't like them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Can't force it.
No.
I will say they don't bother me, but I understand where you're coming from. Liberty, Oregon is an interesting matchup.
Very.
I will say that Georgia, Florida State matchup is interesting. Who plays in that? I mean, I know Georgia has guys coming back, but after back-to-back national championships, do you care?
Well, and have you seen all the Florida State opt-outs? I mean, literally everybody on their defensive. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a see who's playing next year game. Basically, is what that's going to turn into for both of those teams.
I mean, do they carry? That might be as far as rosters go, the most who cares game in bowl season, because they both wanted to be in the playoff. They both had high expectations. Florida State probably should have been in the playoff. My thoughts there. They didn't make it, so move on. But and then Georgia back-to-back national championships. A lot of guys on that roster. Who cares about the Orange Bowl?
Yeah, and I think Carson Beck will play, obviously, because what's he going to sit out for?
He's coming back next year.
Yeah, he's coming back, so he'll play, and then you'll have a backup. The backup quarterback for Florida State will play, but he's got nothing on offense. Like none of the weapons are coming back. So I don't know. Kevon Coleman, he's out. Benson has declared. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Florida State wants to do offensively. I guarantee you Brock Bowers isn't playing in this game for Georgia. I don't know if he's already said he's not, but he shouldn't for the Bulldogs because he'll be, if you get hurt in a bowl game, what's the point? With the year that he's had, and I think he rushed back from the injury to try and win the SEC anyway. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who plays in this game and who doesn't. It'll be a lot of who doesn't in this one for sure.
Even if
because it doesn't mean anything.
Even if stars do play, yeah, what does it matter for those?
Yeah, you're right though. For Georgia, like you've won back-to-back national championships.
Yeah.
Why do we care if we win an Orange Bowl that gets us nothing?
Right.
You don't. I mean, it's a bigger game for Florida State and Mike Norvell than it is for Georgia.
I hope Mike Norvell can convince his team that. And Florida State might win by 20 because Georgia sucks outside of national championship games.
That's fair.
You remember when Texas was back because they beat them, and then Baylor beat
in the
them.
Sugar Bowl. Yeah,
Baylor beat them in the New Year's Six Bowl too.
Yeah,
and not very good Baylor team. They got lucky.
Those were back-to-back Sugar Bowl losses for Georgia, right?
I think there was some time in between.
Okay. Yeah, Texas beat them in the Sugar Bowl, and Baylor beat them in the Sugar Bowl, and that was Baylor with
Big 12 Matt Rule.
Yeah, Matt Rule. Yeah.
They lost the Big 12 championship and then went and beat Georgia, which I feel like they got lucky that year a lot. But here's neither here nor there. Speaking of Nebraska and Matt Rule, not in a bowl game. They finished 5-7. Should have beaten Iowa to get bowl eligible, but they didn't. That game was crazy. But did you see the 5-star flip from Dylan Raiola? And the Chat GPT poem he committed with.
I did not see the Chat GPT poem, but
you missed the poem?
Yeah, I missed the poem, but I did see the flip, and I think Rivals had that he was going to flip, a couple days before, so that's why it didn't really surprise me on signing day. So I didn't really pay too much attention to it.
Yeah, that came out this week.
Yeah, so but yeah, I didn't see the poem.
23,000 likes, 9.8 million views on the poem commitment.
I guess I'm not going to read it here.
I read it on the Gauchos. I'm just going to send it to you. I don't want to read it again, but interesting. Third person. There's some third person in there. His dad played at Nebraska, but it feels like with the third person, and he lists he basically says, "I'm the next Eric Crouch, so let's go win a national championship together." Kind of stuff in this poem.
Yeah, Nebraska's not winning any national titles anytime soon.
No, and I mean, this is an 18-year-old kid. I'm not dogging him, but somebody is in his ear. He was committed, if I recall correctly. There was some Florida smoke. He committed to Ohio State. Then he decommitted and committed to Georgia.
Yeah.
And then decommitted. So 3 or 4 commitments there. I believe, some options he'll have. I doubt he plays his whole career at Nebraska. Just saying it that way. But if he does, he does. And you know what? For Matt Rule's sake, because I like Matt Rule, and I want to see Nebraska and Texas Tech play for something meaningful with Joey McGuire and Matt Rule. I just think that'd be cool. I hope they're good, and I hope Texas Tech is good as well. All right, some NFL games of note this weekend. Playoff implications on the line. Of course, we talked about the Bills at the top of the show. They play the Chargers. The
New interim head coach
I
Chargers.
was, I was trying to think of the coach's name. The Brandon Staley-less Chargers.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the playoff race on Christmas Eve, Saturday, Christmas Eve. Let's see. Detroit at Minnesota. Playoff implications. That's a weird thing to say. The Giants, all of a sudden, in playoff implication world, but they're on Monday, Christmas Day. They play Philadelphia this weekend. The Cowboys really need a Tommy DeVito win there. The biggest game of the weekend, probably Dallas at Miami.
Yeah.
Lots of stats here. Dallas is bad against teams with a winning record. Not bad, but more average.
Not as good, yeah.
Miami, the same way. They've beaten a bunch of teams with a losing record. So push comes to shove here. Dallas also not as good on the road. They dominate people at home. If you could sneak in, if the Cowboys could sneak in, if the Giants somehow beat the Eagles, if the Cardinals beat the Eagles next week, or the Giants beat the Eagles the week after, because they still have to play twice. And if the Cowboys can beat Miami somehow, you're really looking at an opportunity here for the Dallas Cowboys to host a playoff game, which to me means you win a playoff game because you're so good at home. I don't want to go to Tampa Bay. I don't want to be in that 4-5 matchup where you're going to Tampa Bay and you have to beat Baker Mayfield on the road.
Yeah, because they're a division.
That sounds dumb, right?
Yeah.
But the Cowboys just have not been as good on the road. You beat Tampa Bay on the road last year with Tom Brady, which feels like 6 years ago. Can you believe Tom Brady played last year? Is that true?
He was in Tampa last year. I thought he retired the year before. I thought last year.
I know Dak ended Tom Brady's career.
No, you're right. You're right. It was last year. Right. Yeah, because he. Right. Yeah.
That feels like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Wow.
Anyways, Baker Mayfield and the Bucks probably winning that division. Whoever it is.
Yeah, it's going to be the Saints or the Bucks, whoever it is. Yeah.
Whoever it is, I don't want to go on the road. And obviously, you can beat both of those teams. I think you'll win your first round playoff matchup, whoever it is. But I would just rather it be at home.
At home.
Yeah. And you can do that if the Eagles lose one more. They've lost 3 in a row. The Eagles looking like absolute frauds. You're tied in the division right now. Losing that Buffalo game, how you lost it, just getting hammered. It is what it is. It doesn't matter as much, though, because the Eagles also lost.
Yeah, and Buffalo, they're a team that has their backs up against the wall. Like, they've got to do some things like that, like they've done in the last couple of weeks with wins over the Chiefs and the Cowboys to really, and then beat the Eagles too, to get themselves in a playoff spot. They're still trying to get into a playoff spot. So for the Bills, those are big wins. And they're, when you play a team like that at home, the Cowboys are one of the better teams in the NFL. The weather's horrendous in Buffalo. Josh Allen is who Josh Allen is. The Bills' defense is getting better. They've gotten better. They forced you to do some things that you didn't want to do, and kudos to them. I mean, the Bills are playing really good football right now, and this is the best time of year to play it. And McDermott's fighting for his job, and because if they don't make a playoff push, McDermott's gone, and because he has too good of a roster not to make the playoffs, especially with Josh Allen at quarterback. So. Yeah, that's not. I know the score looks bad, but a loss is a loss in the NFL, right? It's not like it matters what the score is. If you lose by 2, if you lose by 14, if you lose by 30, 35 plus, who cares? It's the NFL. You're going to lose. You're going to win.
It
doesn't really matter.
Responded after losing 70 to whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So not really concerning there for Cowboys fans. it'd be more concerning if you lose to the Dolphins and then lose again next week. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think you beat Miami this week. I think you're a better team than Miami. Um, and then moving forward, I think you will end up hosting a first round playoff game. I think right now the Cowboys win this division, and the Eagles are a wild card team. So that's where I see it. Another big one is the Texans and Browns. That's a huge one for both of those teams, for Cleveland and Houston.
Another crazy thing to say.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because no one saw CJ Stroud being this good in year one for the Texans. Now, obviously, Tank Dell, who was his best wide receiver, is not playing anymore. I don't know if he's out for the season. I haven't seen. Is he out for the season? Is that the consensus?
I've not seen the update there, actually.
But anyways, yeah. So tough break for CJ Stroud, but he's been so good this year. Just what a rookie year he's had, and then what a year for the Browns. I mean, Deshaun Watson's out. Nobody saw them continuing to be anywhere close to a playoff push. The Ravens are obviously going to win that division. They've already clinched the playoff spot, the first team to clinch a playoff spot in the AFC. I think the Ravens are the best team in the AFC right now, which is crazy to say too, because you didn't see that coming this year with Kansas City and the way that you thought they might be. But Kansas City, not even, if you look at the AFC, Rob, I don't know that Kansas City is right now. I guess they're the second or third best team in the AFC in my eyes. But the Dolphins, are they better than the Dolphins, Rob? Record wise, no. On the field, or in a playoff situation, does Kansas City win or does Miami win?
I don't know. I going back to the Texans. I think CJ Stroud is missing another week too. So
that sucks.
I think the Texans are kind of folding down the stretch. They're ahead of schedule, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Kansas City, Miami, head up. Where's the game? A. B, is Tyreek Hill healthy? I do not know about Kansas City. I thought they would hit their wall 2 years ago, and they won another Super Bowl since.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to count out the Chiefs in the playoffs, but just right now, the Ravens, I would say, are better than the Chiefs. With that Browns, this sounds crazy. Obviously, I would take the Chiefs over the Browns. But how the Browns are playing and what they've done this year, you can't argue.
Jacksonville too.
Pose a threat. Jacksonville, if you have a healthy
Trevor Lawrence.
But Trevor Lawrence has made some just wild plays in the last couple of weeks. Not in a good way.
I was gonna say not in the
good ones too. He's made some good ones too, but he has just made some boneheaded mistakes in the last couple of weeks.
Travis Etienne hasn't been great either.
And then you go to Miami. If CJ Stroud and Tank Dell hadn't broke his leg, I think that's what happened to him.
Yeah.
You're even thinking the Texans could knock off the Chiefs. The Chiefs can beat anyone, and they can lose to anyone in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they're 4-3 at home. So I don't know.
They don't have it this year. They just don't.
No, they're not a Super Bowl team this year. They're definitely not. And whenever you have a receiving core that catches 50% of the balls you throw to them, right. that makes it even tougher.
Yeah.
It's because the Chiefs, I think they got a lot better on defense this year. Their defense is much improved than even it was when they won their first Super Bowl, right? I would say their defense this year is better than what it was when they won their first Super Bowl.
They were on offense in the year, to have a top 10 defense.
Yeah, the offense, on the other hand, has regressed. I think, and I don't want this to sound like I'm shading Patrick Mahomes, but I think Patrick Mahomes has regressed a little bit this year as well. And that has a lot to do with his receiving core. The offensive line hasn't been as good.
It has everything to do with those bum-ass tackles they put in.
Yeah, the offensive line has not been good.
They didn't want to re-sign Orlando Brown, who,
right,
granted, is not a great offensive tackle either, but better than what's his name? Juwan Taylor. What's his name?
Juwan Taylor. Yeah. They're
That
just
garbage.
Yeah, they're just not good up front. They're not great on the outsides. You don't have a game-breaking wide receiver.
What's crazy is they have a top 3 offensive line interior.
Yeah, interior you do.
Their tackles are awful.
But the thing about the NFL though is the best players on the defense play on the outsides.
You have to have good tackles. They don't have
the tackles are the most important part of an NFL. I'd rather you have 2 semi-good guards and 2 really good tackles than the opposite, right? The interior can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, but you got to have 2 good tackles in the NFL. If you don't have 2 good tackles in the NFL, your quarterback, I don't care how good he is, if you don't give him time, and if you don't give the receivers who aren't very good enough time to get out of their routes, break their routes, and get to the football, then you're going to throw a lot of picks, and you're going to take a lot of sacks. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but he's taken a lot of sacks this year.
Certainly a lot of pressures.
Yeah.
Good at getting out of sacks, but the Bills now 8-6 in prime position with the Bengals and the Browns for those wild card positions. The Broncos losing again. They're at 7-7 now. The Chiefs 9-5. I want to say they're going to win this division, but crazy things have happened. They play the Raiders this weekend in another big matchup. The Raiders 6-8 with Antonio Pierce coming to town now. But you also have the Ravens at 11-3 trying to lock up home field advantage for the playoffs. They play in a huge one this weekend. Great. There's a great Christmas day of NFL games.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, Kansas City, Giants, Eagles. Laugh all you want, but that's a great matchup, especially how hot New York is and how cold Philadelphia is, even though New York just lost a game. And then you have Baltimore, San Francisco, which could be, Carson, you know what I'm going to say?
Super Bowl preview.
A Super Bowl preview with the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. Also a Super Bowl rematch.
Rematch, the Harbaugh Super Bowl. Yeah, where the lights went out.
From the brownout, yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Or the blackout.
Colin Kaepernick. Super Bowl.
Colin Kaepernick, Joe Flacco. A couple of elite quarterbacks.
Yeah. Joe Flacco's leading the Browns to the playoffs, baby.
He's back.
This is crazy. It's crazy.
Baltimore Cleveland rematch in the playoffs would be insane. I know they play division wise.
Yeah.
But Flacco beating Baltimore in the playoffs would be hilarious.
That would be some sweet justice for Joe Flacco, wouldn't it?
So they beat the Ravens weeks ago, but Deshaun Watson was playing.
Right.
So they have not. Joe Flacco has not played the Ravens yet. He does play his former team, the Jets, next week. They play the Texans this weekend.
Yeah, the Browns beat the Ravens 33-31 in October.
Yeah. Also,
no, November 12th, so about a month ago.
And then they finished the season with the Bengals. The Bengals.
The Ravens, the Ravens have the 49ers, Dolphins, and Steelers to end the year. So you're looking, that's a tough 3-game stretch. Obviously, the Steelers aren't great. They're 7-7, but
and the Dolphins in Baltimore.
Yeah, and the Dolphins are better on the road. So Baltimore's got a chance. If they win this week, they'll wrap up home field advantage. I think you got to win 12 games in the AFC to wrap up home field advantage, right? Because the next best mathematically, that's it, right? Because the next best team is the Dolphins, and
the
Dolphins could do it if they beat the Cowboys. The Dolphins, it's big for the Ravens this week because if the Dolphins lose to the Cowboys and the Ravens win, then they pretty much assure themselves at least.
That Ravens Dolphins.
They have to beat the Dolphins. Yeah. They beat the Dolphins. They get home field advantage. Let's put it that way.
I mean, mathematically, there's still some wiggle room there. But That sounds like a correct statement. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Cowboys won 5 in a row before losing to the Bills. Now they have the Dolphins, the Lions, and the Commanders to finish the season. Lions at home, Dolphins and Commanders on the road.
Two tough ones in a row with the Dolphins and Lions.
Still looking, and a road game division-wise. I'm not saying
Sam Howell.
I'm not saying that's a crazy game, but it is a game.
Sam Howell can fling it, man.
He certainly can.
And that's the kind of game that the Cowboys would go to Washington and lose too, right? Like that's just it's one of those games where the Cowboys will beat the Dolphins or lose to the Dolphins, beat the Lions, have a chance to get home field advantage, and lose to the freaking Commanders and Sam Howell, who will throw it almost every down.
I don't know. Dak owns the NFC East. Just
that's fair.
Like record wise. So I don't foresee that being a huge problem. But you mentioned it, Dolphins, Lions, Commanders is a much different schedule than Giants, Cardinals, Giants, which is what the Eagles have coming up. So I don't know. I would assume you're going to be the 5th seed heading into the playoffs if you're the Dallas Cowboys. You said earlier they were going to win the division and be the 2 seed. I would be fine with either. I think the Cowboys can beat the 4 seed, which is going to be the Bucks or the Saints. But again, I just don't want to go on the road in the playoffs. I would love to host a playoff game. It's not like I'm hosting it, but
yeah.
Baker Mayfield, even on the road, does not scare me much. Though they have the Jaguars, Saints, and Panthers to finish the season. So we'll see if they can get it done. The Saints losing last night to the Rams in a pivotal game. So the Rams move forward on the Saints there in the race.
Yeah, the Rams at 8-7 are still in playoff contention. Yeah, that's crazy. But you've got a lot of teams that have clinched spots in the NFC and only one team that's clinched a spot in the AFC. So mathematically.
Yeah. So there are 3 playoff teams clinched. Right. 4 playoff teams clinched in the NFC. Cowboys, Eagles, Niners, Lions. Yep. And the Cowboys clinched last week before the Bills game. And
before they even played.
I said to my dad, I said, all right, Cowboys have clinched the playoffs. The Bills are fighting for their lives. This is not a good recipe. And he said, oh, yeah, the Cowboys need to play good. I said they need to, yeah, but
they won't.
I'm just telling you, this is not going to be a good game.
Yeah.
And then you have, the Eagles or Cowboys are going to be the 1 seed, or not the 1 seed overall, but the
2, out of the division.
What am I trying to say? They may not be the 2 seed because the Lions are still right there and they play the
True.
The first wild card.
Right, yeah, there you go.
They'll be the first wild card because the Rams 8-7, the Seahawks 7-7, the Vikings 7-7, the Packers 6-8.
The Saints, I think the Saints would get in there before the Packers, yeah.
The Saints 7-8 now. The Bucks 7-7, the Falcons 6-8. I'm just saying mathematically, who can still be in the playoffs. But yeah, I think the Rams, the Seahawks, the Vikings, all still with a chance. I doubt 2 NFC South teams get in the playoffs, but stranger things have happened, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. That's really all I got. College basketball is still happening, but it's kind of that weird week where you play a couple of Christmas games and nobody watches, and then you get back to Big 12 play in January. You'll storm the Capitol there in Austin on January 6th. The second most important Capitol storming in U.S. history on January 6th.
Yeah.
Did you see?
I got nothing.
Did you see Joey McGuire tweet a player's mom and say, "See you on January 6th," and everyone freak out about it?
No, I did not. I did not see this.
He's like, "See you January 6th," which I think is move-in day.
Okay.
But it's Cameron Dickey. It was Cameron Dickey's mom, who's from the Austin area.
Yeah, from Austin.
So
yeah.
So I thought maybe he was going to go to the game and see them there. Either way, fans from outside of Texas Tech took it as, and some Texas Tech fans took it as an opportunity to joke with Joey McGuire about storming a Capitol.
Yeah, well,
Where
what
were
are you
you?
going to do?
Six.
Yeah, where were you?
All
I couldn't tell you where I was.
right, that's all I got. Any
But,
final
yeah.
thoughts?
No, I just bowl slate looks fun the next few days. Everyone needs to have a very Merry Christmas. Be safe. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
And it's been a good year. It's been a good ride.
Certainly has. I guess we'll see you in 2024 there, Carson.
Yeah, unless we get something going while we're both on the road before
We'll
then.
see.
But yeah,
We'll see what happens.
yeah.
All right.
Sounds good, Robbie.
Peace.
Merry Christmas.
All right.
Peace.